You're listening to 98.7 FM Desert Static, the last station still breathing in southern Arizona. If you're hearing this, you're alive. And if you're alive, you already know the rules. Stay indoors, board the windows, trust no one who glows. That's right, glows. Not the golden kind, not the sunset-stained beauty of the Sonoran at dusk. No, this glow is wrong. Like sunlight curdled under skin. You've seen them. Stumbling through the dust storms, their bodies lit from within like lanterns made of bone. They're hungry, and they're not alone. Let me tell you how this started, 3 days ago. A solar farm just outside Gila Bend, Sonoran Industries. You've driven past it. Miles of mirrors, angled like worshippers bowing to the sun. Only this time, the sun bowed back. A prototype reactor, experimental, unauthorized. They called it Project Sundial, meant to harvest solar radiation, amplify it, channel it into a clean energy surge. Instead, it channeled something else. A pulse, one burst, sharp and silent, rippling outward like a shockwave. Birds fell mid-flight. Cacti split open, oozing black sap. And then, the screams. I've got a message here scrawled on a napkin slipped under my studio door this morning. Let me read it to you. They're not dead, they're cooked. The sun's still in them, and it's pissed. Whoever wrote that isn't wrong. These things, call them sunburnt, call them irradiated, they don't rot, they smolder. Touch one, and your fingers blister. Kill one, and it goes off like a flare. Yesterday, a farmer near Casa Grande tried to put down his wife with a shovel. She combusted on the third swing, took the barn with her. The fire, it wasn't normal. Blue at the edges, hungry. Let's talk about survival. Because that's what we're doing here, isn't it? Surviving. I've got a story from a trucker who made it from Yuma to Tucson with nothing but a jug of coolant and a tire iron. He says the highways are choked with cars, engines melted into the asphalt, windows blown out, seats stained with what looks like glass shards. Except it's not glass. It's salt. The bodies, the ones that aren't moving, they're crystallized, mummified by the heat. And the ones that are moving, they're faster in the daylight, slower at night. But don't get comfortable. The moon's no sanctuary anymore. They're learning, adapting. Take the engineer, the one who survived the initial blast at Solgen. He holed up in a diner off I-8, sent out a distress call on a ham radio. I'll never forget his voice, cracked, guilty. We thought we could control it, he said. We thought it'd be clean. He lasted 6 hours. 6 hours of whispering coordinates, schematics, begging someone to bomb the site before the radiation spread. Nobody came. Then around noon, the diner's windows exploded. Not shattered, exploded. Molten glass raining down like daggers. He screamed about the light, how it wasn't just in the sky anymore, how it was crawling. They found his body, or what was left of it, clutching a fire extinguisher. His skin was charred paper, but his eyes, bright, neon yellow. Still alive. Still aware. They shot him. Of course they shot him. But the bullet went through him like he was made of ash. And then he unfolded. Tendrils of light lashing out, searing through Kevlar. They had to napalm the diner, burned it to the foundation. Now there's just a black circle on the map, still warm to the touch. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't a plague, it's an infestation. The reactor's still active, still pulsing. Every sunrise, it sends out another wave. and each wave goes further. Phoenix is gone, not overrun, gone. The downtown skyline is a forest of twisted metal, glowing like rebar in a furnace. Survivors there say the streets are alive with something worse than the husks. Shapes, liquid and luminous, sliding through alleys, dissolving concrete. They call them drought angels. Pray they don't reach the mountains. But let's get local. Let's get personal. There's a family in Bisbee, sheltering in the copper mines. The mother rigged UV lamps at the entrance. Turns out the husks hate concentrated light. Or maybe they're jealous of it. Either way, it works. For now. Then there's the teenager in Nogales, who drove his dad's ice cream truck through a horde, blaring La Cucaracha while scattering dry ice behind him. Bought his neighborhood 8 hours of peace. 8 hours. That's a lifetime now. But not all stories end with ingenuity. Sometimes they end with teeth. A nursing home outside Tombstone. 30 residents armed with pill bottles and walkers. They held the doors for a night. Then the morning sun rose and the husks bloomed. One caretaker made it out. She said they didn't attack, they embraced. Held the old folks down as their veins lit up, pumping liquid daylight into tired hearts. Said it looked like a baptism. Sounded like bacon on a skillet. I'm gonna level with you. I don't know how much longer this signal will hold. The tower's surrounded. They're drawn to the electricity, the hum of the transmitter. I've barred the doors with studio equipment, but the walls are getting brittle. Every time I speak, the static thickens. Maybe they hear me. Maybe they're learning. Before I go, let me leave you with this, the engineer's last words. After the diner windows blew, before the light took him, he laughed, a wet, broken sound. We wanted renewable energy, he said. Turns out the sun's a cannibal. Stay tuned, stay alive, and if you're near the SolGen site, pray for clouds. This is 98.7 FM, Desert Static. Still here, still alive. For now. The studio's compromised. The air tastes like burnt copper, and the walls, God, the walls are sweating. Not water. Something thicker, brighter. Drips pooling in the corners, shimmering like mercury under my flashlight. Don't touch it. I tried. My thumbprint's still sizzling. Let's cut to the chase. SolGen's reactor isn't contained. It's growing. Satellite images from before the feeds went dark showed the facility pulsing. A mile-wide crater now, glowing like a second sun. And the radiation? It's not just spreading, it's breeding. Last night, a sandstorm hit the outskirts of Tucson. Red sand, sharp as ground bone. When it cleared, the cacti were gone. Replaced by things. Tall, spindly, all thorns and no roots. They move when the wind blows, and the wind never stops blowing anymore. Survival tip: avoid the highways. The trucker from Yuma, he's dead. Found his rig near Picacho Peak, engine still running, cab filled with a nest. Wires, glass, and skin braided together. His CB radio was jammed into his ribcage, broadcasting static on every channel. But here's the kicker. His voice was still coming through. Garbled. Repeating. The light gets in, the light gets out. They torched the truck. Took 3 gallons of diesel before it caught. The flames? Green. Feral. Let me tell you about the drought angels. They're not rumors. I've seen one. Or it saw me. 2 nights ago, outside Marana, a shimmer in the dark, like heat haze off asphalt. Then it liquefied, poured itself under a jeep, swallowed the tires, the metal, the screaming couple inside, left nothing but their wedding rings fused to the road. They say if you stare too long, your eyes crystallize. A rancher near Sells tried shooting one. His bullets vaporized mid-air. The angel didn't even flinch, just rippled. Now his entire property's a glass quarry. But you want human stories? Here's one. A high school baseball team in Sierra Vista turned their field into a fortress. Bleachers barricaded with lockers, bases rigged with landmines from a nearby army depot. Worked for a day. Then the husks came. Not the shambling kind, the smart ones. They used tools, wrenches, fire axes. The coach said they moved in formation, herding the kids toward the outfield. By the 3rd inning, the scoreboard was drenched in blood. Only one survivor, the pitcher. Kid had a cannon for an arm. Threw a grenade from center field, took out half the horde. Last I heard, he's holed up in the snack shack, writing his dead girlfriend's name on the walls with ketchup. Here's another. A nun in Douglas turned her chapel into a triage. Patched up stragglers with communion wine and curtain scraps. Then the stained glass saints melted. Molten lead and colored glass pooling into shapes, living shapes. They dragged her altar boy into the confessional. When he came out, his eyes were solar eclipses, black discs ringed with fire. The nun, she didn't run. She sang a hymn, Abide with Me. The boy tilted his head, listened. Then he hugged her. When he let go, she was just ash. Wet ash. Still humming. The military's gone. Not retreated. Gone. Camp Navajo? Silent. Davis Monthan AFX? Jets still on the tarmac, cockpits filled with melted pilots. Only thing flying now are the drones. Solar-powered, buzzing like locusts. Some still stream footage. I'll spare you the details, but here's a clip. A Walmart parking lot in Chandler. Hundreds of husks standing perfectly still, faces upturned. A drone flies overhead and they ignite. All at once. Human torches, heat so intense it warps the drone's camera. When the smoke clears, the asphalt is a mosaic of shadows. I've got a new message, carved into my studio door this time. They're in the wires. Not sure what that means until the lights flicker. The studio monitors, dead for days, suddenly flare to life. Security footage from Solgen. Dated today. The reactor's core is a vertical beam of white fire lashing the sky, and around it, figures. Human? Maybe. They're glowing too bright to tell. Dancing or fighting. One peels away, sprouting wings of pure radiation. It flies, no, punches into the camera. Feed cuts to static. Now my screens won't turn off. The static's moving, curling into shapes, hands, faces. I need to warn you about the storms, not sand, not rain, lightning. But this lightning doesn't strike down, it strikes up, from the ground to the sky. A lineman in Benson watched it split a gas station in half. The pumps erupted, spewing flames that spiraled into the clouds. Then the lightning came. One bolt, inverted, hit a husk mid-stride. Thing exploded into a swarm of fiery insects. They ate a minivan in seconds. I don't know how much time I have. The thing outside the studio, it's scratching Morse code on the door. 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots, SOS. But it's not asking for help. It's mocking. Last thing, the engineer's schematics, someone decoded them. Buried in the math was a frequency, 98.7 FM. My frequency. Turns out the reactor's pulse. It's aligned with my broadcasts. Every word I say feeds it, makes it stronger. That's why the husks haven't torn down the tower. They're listening. We all are. So here's my choice. Keep talking. Buy you all more time. Let the reactor grow. Or sign off. Cut the signal. Maybe starve the beast. But if I stop, you lose the only voice left in the dark. Wait, the studio's skylight just melted. No, not melted. Dissolved into vapor. And the thing looking down, it's not a husk. It's laughing. A raw atomic sound. Desert static, 98.7 FM. Still, here. Though here isn't what it was. The studio, what's left of it, is breathing. Walls warped inward, studded with jagged glass teeth. That thing from the skylight? It's not gone. It's everywhere. In the air, in the static, in the goddamn soundboard. I can feel it in my molars. A buzz that isn't electricity. It's laughter. Let's not waste time. The reactor's awake, and it's angry. Last night, Solgen's crater birthed a pillar of light so tall it punched through the clouds. Satellites caught it ripping a hole in the ozone. Now the sun, it's louder. UV indexes off the charts. Even at midnight, shadows burn. A biker near Apache Junction took off his helmet at high noon. His face slid like wax down a candle. Found him crawling toward a gas station, eyelids fused shut, lips whispering. It's inside the light. Survival stories. Here's one that'll curdle your hope. A militia in Tempe turned a Costco into a fortress. Barricaded the aisles with forklifts, rigged the ceiling with UV lamps, worked for a week. Then they got clever. Used solar panels to power a Tesla coil on the roof. Lit up the night like a lightning beast. Fried 100 husks to ash. But the ash, it clumped. Formed something. A storm of charred bone and sparks. It tore through the roof, sucked the militia captain into its vortex. When it spat him out, he was just a spine, still sparking. Or the nuns in Tubac. Not the ones from Douglas. These sisters dug a moat around their mission, filled it with holy water and battery acid. Held the husks at bay until the drought angels came. They didn't melt the mission. They baptized it. Turned the chapel into a kaleidoscope of molten stained glass. Now the nuns, they're part of the art. Frozen in prayer, their skin fused to the pews, eyes blown out like shattered chalices. But let's talk about the good ideas, the ones that backfired. A tech bro in Scottsdale hacked a drone swarm, programmed them to blast concentrated sunlight at the husks. Cooked a dozen in seconds. Then the drones mutated. Started harvesting skin instead of solar data. Last transmission showed them dive bombing a preschool, stitching a quilt of children's faces mid-air. The quilt moved. It's still out there, floating on the wind, singing lullabies in a chorus of stolen voices. Global news? There isn't any. Not anymore. But before the feeds died, a garbled transmission from Chile. Same pillar of light over the Atacama. Same things. crawling out of the desert. And in Norway, midnight sun turned black, a solar eclipse that never ends. They're calling it Merksol, dark sun. Fitting. Back to Arizona. To you. Heard about the caravan out of Flagstaff? 50 survivors armed with mirrored shields and sunstrike grenades, headed towards Solgen. They think they can kill the reactor. They're wrong, but I'll pray for them anyway. One of them, a nurse, left a voicemail on a dead satellite phone. If we don't make it, tell the world we didn't burn. We ignited. They hit a sandstorm outside Black Canyon City. The storm had teeth. Here's a secret, the frequency. 98.7 FM. It's not random. The engineer's schematics. It's a harmonic key. My voice? It's tuning the reactor. Every word I say tightens the noose. But if I stop, the signal flatlines and the pulse goes critical. You hear that, Phoenix? Tucson? I'm your damn life support. But I'm not immune. My left hand's gone translucent. Can see the bones glowing through the skin. Typing the script felt like dipping my fingers in napalm. And the thing in the studio? It's whispering now. Not in English, in frequencies. A song that unspools my thoughts like thread. Last night I blacked out. Woke up with the transmitter dial cranked to max. My ears bled for an hour. Final story. A father and daughter in Prescott. Hid in a root cellar for days. The girl had a glow stick. Cracked it for comfort. Big mistake. The husks smelled the phosphor. Ripped through the dirt like it was tissue paper. The father, he shoved her into a well. Last thing she heard? Him screaming, "Don't look up." She didn't, but the well water started shining. She climbed out this morning. The house was gone, just a glass crater. And the sky, it's grinning. I've got a choice. A listener smuggled a note into the station, don't ask how. It says, "The frequency can fracture the core, but it'll fracture you too." So here's the plan. I'm gonna loop this broadcast. Flood the reactor with a feedback pulse. It'll fry the tower. Fry me. But it might buy you a sunrise. One clean sunrise. Wait, the studio door's melting. Not the metal, the air around it. That thing, it's here. And it's not alone. Behind it, 100 more. Hungry. Holy. If this works, the static will stop. The light will fade. If not, well, it was never about surviving, was it? It was about roaring back. Desert static. 98.7 FM. Final transmission. Forgive the noise. The feedback loop worked. Or it didn't. Hard to tell when your bones are FM antennas. But the pillar of light over Solgen, it's dimming. Not dying. Rearranging. The sky looks like broken TV static. And the sun. God, the sun's gone quiet. No, not quiet. Listening. Let me tell you how the world ends. Not with a bang. With a frequency. The loop shattered the reactor's core, but the explosion, it wasn't fire. It was sound. A single note, older than the desert, sharper than a scalpel. It cut Phoenix in half, split the Salt River into steam. And the husks, they didn't burn. They vibrated, shook apart into dust motes that hung in the air, glittering, before the wind carried them east. Toward New Mexico, toward you. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the cost. My body's unspooling. Skin peeling back in papery layers. each one dissolving into static. My blood's gone thin, silver, hissing through the microphone like white noise. And the thing that was in the studio, it's inside me now. Not a parasite, a parody. Wears my voice like a skin suit. Sometimes it lets me speak, sometimes it laughs. Survivors? A few. The caravan from Flagstaff, what's left of them, stumbled into a ghost town near Globe. 30 became 5, 5 became 2. A mechanic and a kid. The kid's got a Geiger counter welded to his arm. Says it talks to him. Tells him where the radiation's hiding. Last night it pointed to his chest. He hasn't slept since. The drought angels? They're fleeing, pouring themselves into the Colorado River, turning it to sludge. A fisherman in Parker watched one dissolve into the water. Next day the riverbanks bloomed with obsidian flowers. They sing in the dark, lullabies, lies. Here's a story to haunt you. A paramedic in Sedona found a hospital generator still running. Powered by what, she didn't ask. Used it to charge a defibrillator. Revived a corpse. Big mistake. The corpse sat up, smiled with teeth like solar filaments, and asked, "Which way to the eclipse?" She shocked it again. And again. It kept laughing. She finally dragged it into the MRI machine, turned it on full blast. The corpse, unzipped, split into 100 glowing worms. They're in the vents now, growing. Or the brothers in Payson who turned their ranch into a slaughterhouse, killed every irradiated coyote, every glowing jackrabbit, piled the bodies in a ravine. Then the pile twitched. Merged into something with too many legs, too many eyes. It didn't attack. It preached. A sermon in clicks and whines. The brothers shot it. It didn't die. It ordained them. Now they're out there, barefoot in the dust, building a church out of splintered bone. Their congregation? The shadows that walk at noon. The reactor's crater is cold now. Colder than space. A team of scientists, or what passes for scientists these days, ventured in, found the core. A black sphere, smooth, suspended in midair. It hums. One of them touched it. His skeleton shot out of his skin, posed like a marionette mid-dance. The sphere's growing. By dawn, it'll be the size of a house. By tomorrow, a mountain. What happens when it's big enough? It sings, and the song, "It's not for us." Messages from the edge, a pilot's final words over the Grand Canyon. The rocks are breathing, the canyon's a throat. But here's the truth they'll never tell you. The radiation wasn't an accident. Solgen's experiment? A cover. The engineer's schematics had coordinates. Latitudes buried in the math, all leading to a site in Siberia, another in the Sahara. This was a key, and we turned it, opened a door, let something in that's been knocking since the first sunrise. The static's fading. My time's up. The thing inside me is chewing through the last of my synapses. But before I go, let me tell you about the light. Real light, the kind that doesn't bite. There's a woman in Ajo growing tomatoes under UV lamps. They're blue. Toxic. But she eats them anyway. Says they taste like hope. There's a dog in Tucson that glows but still fetches sticks. There's a baby born last night in Flagstaff with normal, boring, beautiful brown eyes. The reactor sphere will keep growing. The drones will keep hunting, the static will eat the sky, but you'll adapt. You'll twist. You'll forget what normal ever meant, and that's okay. Survival isn't purity, it's persistence. So here's my final act. I'm cranking the transmitter to overload. My body's a fuse. My voice, the spark. When this hits the sphere, it might shatter it. Might not. Do me a favor. When the static stops, step outside. Look up. If the stars are still there, really there, not just the reactor's afterimage, whisper my frequency. 98.7 FM. Maybe I'll hear it. Maybe I'll be the static between the stars.